Hi guys, so today's just going to be a kind of quick, simple get ready with me, doing some very natural makeup, some very tactile, use your hand style makeup, all using some things that I picked up at the recent Sephora sale. I didn't buy a full face of makeup at the Sephora sale, and I also picked up some non-makeup things, which we'll talk about in a future video. But I wanted to come on here and kind of show the makeup products that I got. A lot of them are cream and liquid type products, so I wanted to show you kind of me applying these in a very simple look that I've been using quite a lot lately with these products. I actually have the world's tiniest amount of base on already, as well as my sunscreen. Used the Undone Beauty, which is a drugstore brand, skin tint this morning. It's called their Unfoundation Glow Tint, and it really is a tint. It's just kind of given me just a hint of coverage with a really lovely sort of glowy base to it. So when I use something like this, and I'll talk about this more in an upcoming video, but when I use something like this, I'm really going to come in and spot conceal with a concealer. So that kind of brings me to the first product that I picked up at the Sephora sale, which is the Ilia True Skin Serum Concealer. I got the shade Arrowroot, and I have been playing with all of these products, so I'm kind of getting to know them pretty well at this point, but it has a really lovely sort of paddle shaped applicator, which I really like. And one of the things I like to do when I'm going to be using my concealer more on my face, because I'm using a very light coverage product, is sometimes with these serum-y type concealers that are more medium coverage, which is what this is, it helps if you kind of put them on your face first and then almost let them sit for a half a second in the spots that you want additional coverage. So for me, it's covering up a couple of sunspots and a little bit of a mark that's still going over here, a little bit here around my nose. And then I'm just gonna let that set for a second, and we're gonna go in underneath my eyes. This does have a really lovely serum-like consistency. I do find that it is a little bit more on the glowy side, more radiant, and like I said, it's more of a medium coverage. If you like a Tarte sort of Shape Tape style product, I don't think this is going to be for you. I do think that this one is really medium coverage, but on days where I'm wearing a lighter sort of skin tint like I am, I'm just bringing a little teeny tiny bit of that concealer down onto my cheek area because this shade is lighter than my skin. And so I do feel like I do have to do a little bit of that sort of Instagram, YouTube style where you're doing more of that triangle pattern here. I do feel like I have to do that more with a lighter color concealer rather. So this one blends into my under eyes really well. Very easy to work with. And then I'm just gonna take this same sponge and now sort of tap over those spots that were on my cheek and nose. And because they've had a second to sit, they're gonna give me a little bit more coverage than if I had blended them out right away. And with that skin tint, and then just that little bit of concealer, my skin is still poking through. It very much looks like skin. So if you're somebody who always feels like foundation looks heavy on them, that you always feel like you look like you're wearing makeup and you wish that you didn't, this is a good trick. A very light coverage tint and then a lighter coverage concealer, because if I were to go in with some sort of really heavy concealer, cancel out everything, it would look very strange. You would have a very made up eye and a very natural skin base. Let's do eyes next. I'm gonna very quickly just do my brows and my primer first. So I'm going to run some brow gel and a pencil through my brows and then some Urban Decay primer potion on my lid, and we'll be right back. So I've got you zoomed in so you can see my eyes a little closer because we're going to do that next. The Ilia concealer is setting right now. I'm just kind of tapping it out underneath my eyes. Now for me today, I had kind of an allergy day yesterday, and so my skin's been very dry, which is part of the reason I wanted to kind of use this product today. But my under eyes have also been dry, and so I don't feel like I need to set them. In fact, the kind of glow that you're seeing underneath my eyes, I'm actually 100% okay with, and I will just continue while that Ilia concealer kind of sets itself to just tap out here lightly with my ring finger any sort of creasing that happens to occur rather underneath my eyes and sort of those fine lines. For my eye look today, we're going to be using one product. So this is from Kosas. This is their 10-second eyeshadow. I got the shade Copper Halo, and it is a true liquid shadow. Like, this is completely watery, and it does have a tendency to kind of settle out into its different pigments and things as a result. It's a very strange product. So as you would expect, you do need to shake it up. They have included little like nail polish bead type things in here to help kind of mix up the shadow. But it's just very interesting because as you shake it up, if you shook up any liquid, you end up getting like little bubbles, if you can see that in there, from shaking it up. I knew it was a liquid shadow, but I was thinking it was more liquid in the sense that like other wanded type liquid shadows are. Now, I don't know if I would love this as much if it wasn't the color that it is. Because it's a little deeper and darker on my skin, it's actually going to work in a way that I don't feel like a lighter color would. So let me show you what I do to apply this. So I'm gonna use obviously the wand that's in here, and then I'm gonna use a Sedona Lace EB13 brush. So it's a synthetic brush. It's got a decent dome on the top of it, but it's actually got a decent sort of density to it. It's not super light and fluffy, and I think that actually helps me work with this shadow. Here is what I do. I'm just gonna take some of this out, and I'm gonna lightly sort of wipe off a little bit of the runny texture inside of here, and then I'm just gonna apply this into my eyes in a shape that I want, and then start to blend it up with that brush. Let me get this mirror really close so I can see what I'm doing. But I find because it is liquidy, it's not super difficult to lay down. And you can see it's, for a liquid, it's still pretty pigmented. While it's still wet, I'm gonna take that brush and start to work out the edges. And literally, that's it. They call it a 10-second eyeshadow look. I find that it just blended and gradually kind of faded up into my brow bone. It's looking very pretty and coppery on my lid. Now, I have put down an eyeshadow base on this because I think that I wanted to cancel out some of the redness and veining that's just naturally on my eyes. And I'm kind of just, I'm putting it on here in sort of a deliberate way to kind of get a little bit of the shape that I want, but I'm not being super precise with this because I'm just blending out the edge. And this is why I feel like a lighter shade wouldn't give me the same sort of dimension, and as I faded it up, I don't know always if I would love this in a lighter color, but I think that looks really pretty. And I think it took me like zero time whatsoever. I'm gonna use the end of this little thing to kind of put some underneath my eyes, and I'm not even going to grab another brush for this. I'm just going to run some under my eyes and then take my ring finger and almost just like tap it out so it kind of blends with just a smidge. That way I get a little definition underneath my eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and put on some mascara and then zoom you guys back out. So that is the eyeshadow with just a couple coats of the It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara over the top. Like I said, it's not the world's most groundbreaking look, but on days when I wanna look like I tried a little bit and I want some color on my lid, but I really don't have a lot of time, I really like this, and I do think this combination worked really well. I do think this is probably a brush style that most of you guys have in your collection, so I don't think that you need to go buy the Sedona Lace brush, but it does work really well with this combo. I'll also say, having worn this probably, have I worn this 4 times now? I think this is my 4th time wearing this, and just this, it lasts really well. I've had 0 issues with creasing or weird fading or doing any sort of flaking or weird things that sometimes liquid shadows can do. So it's a little intimidating when you first look at it and you realize that it's pure water, and you put it on your lid and you realize that it's kind of sliding, all kind of applying like you would expect a water to on your lid. But then to blend it out, it really works so well, and the blending and sort of ombreing up into the rest of your lid space is just so freaking easy. For the rest of my face, I'm going to be using some cream products. Two that I picked up in the sale, and then one that I've picked up more recently that I don't think I've demoed for you guys on here. I think I picked this up October, if I remember correctly. So I'll show you that. I wanted to pull something that I had picked from Sephora because they didn't have a highlighter. I picked up a bronzer and a blush. So for bronzer, I went ahead and got a mini of the Milk Makeup bronzing stick. I can't remember what the name of this is, and it's not on here because it's such a tiny package, but I didn't feel like I wanted to invest in that giant stick. So I ended up getting a mini version of this. This has been such a YouTuber favorite this year, and considering how much I have been enjoying cream products, I kind of felt like I needed to give this a whirl, or I wanted to give this a whirl so I could comment on it. And I kind of like its little size. I actually think it's more of a size that fits in where I want to put bronzer versus that big, huge, chubby stick. The brush that I've been using with this, and really with all sort of cream bronzy powders, is actually an old VIB Rouge gift. It's kind of got a pinched ferrule and sort of a more narrow style top to it. It does actually, and it's got some density to it. It does remind me of the Cosmetics foundation brush. If you're familiar with that, I'll put a picture of it here on the screen. I do think if you have that brush or something like it, that's kind of what I've been preferring to blend things out. And then I also keep a beauty sponge just kind of by my side to kind of help diffuse and blend if I need that. So I will say this is very easy to blend out. It is about as warm as I want to go. That's the one reason that also kind of held me back from getting the lighter one, or sorry, the bigger one, not the lighter one, the bigger one. They only have one shade in this. I do think it works though for a bronzy glow. It is just, like I said, a little warmer, just a hint warmer than I wish it was for my cool skin tone. But as you can see, that thing just blends out so effortlessly. Like, you don't have to fight it. You don't end up with a mark where you applied it where it's now like set completely and you're kind of screwed. Now, I do work in sections on my face, but that's just me being careful, and also just how I work in general. It has nothing to do with this product. And like I said, I usually just come in here and bounce the sponge. So once again, this makeup look is all about like quick. I can get through this entire makeup. Now, obviously I'm talking with you guys and pointing to products and techniques and things like that, but I can get through this entire makeup routine in like no time flat. So moving on to blush, I picked up a blush from Kaja. This is their Cheeky Stamp Blendable Blush. That's hard to say for some reason this morning. So this kind of comes in a little container that pops open, and you have a cushion blush down below. And then if you twist the top, it kind of springs out, and you have a heart shape sort of stamp that has a little bit of give to it there. It's interesting. When I look at the stamp, I actually see a little bit of micro shimmer, but I don't see that micro shimmer transferring onto my skin. So I got a little nervous when I looked at these in stores and I was seeing sort of glitter, almost look like micro shimmer glitter particles on the stamp, that this was a glittery blush. That's not been my experience. This is the shade 03 Bossy. The shade that I thought I was going to get was 06 Flirty. They didn't have it, and I did really like the sort of coral color. So here's what you do. You kind of stamp it in here. It picks up, because this is such a fresh one, it picks up quite a bit of product. More than I feel like I'm going to want on my cheeks, because this is a strong coral. So what I've been doing is actually stamping it on my hand once, makes a cute little heart stamp, getting off a little bit of that excess, and then going in here and just kind of stamping it on my cheeks, and then taking a sponge and blending it out. And it's just a really pretty, nice coral flush, very easy to work with. I'm gonna pick up the product that I had left on my hand a little bit, and we're going to stamp on this cheek. And grab a sponge. And then just kind of close it all up. Just a very nice natural coral look to the cheeks. And then for highlighter, sticking with cream, I'm going to throw on a little bit of this RMS Beauty Living Luminizer. It's kind of more of a balm, and it does stay slightly tacky. So if you do not like the feeling of anything slightly tacky on your skin, this is not going to be one for you. But it does just give your skin this sort of wet look that I think is so pretty. It doesn't look like I'm wearing highlighter. It just looks like my skin is slightly like glass skin looking. And then for my lips, I'm gonna use a product I picked up at the sale, and this is from Kosas. This is their wet lip oil, and it's got this really interesting sort of like, reminds me of like maybe a stack of bubble gum or something, lid in this really pretty blue. I got the shade Dip, which is a neutral, and I was expecting this to be pretty sheer, and in reality, it actually gives a nice tint to the lips. So just a really pretty neutral tint. It is kind of a hybrid between a gloss and an oil. So they call this a wet lip oil. And it definitely has some oil sort of hydration going to it, and it definitely gives you that very glossy lip look. But it also has a little bit more substance than a typical runny lip oil does. It's got a little bit of that gloss sort of feel to it as well. It's not sticky. It's like an oil gel hybrid, I think is the best way to describe it. But this look, when I've been playing around with it, with skin tint and just kind of everything I've put on my face today, I can get done in like 10-15 minutes tops. And I feel like I've got a very natural and yet put together and polished look that feels very skin-like. Like it's letting my skin and sort of just natural radiance peek through. So I wanted to show you those things. I am actually going to hit pause here, and I've got to go run some errands. We're getting prepped for Thanksgiving, so I've got some errands I need to run. I want to kind of let this sit on my skin, and I want to come back and show you how the eyeshadow is wearing here in a little bit, as well as just the rest of my base makeup. And then when I come back, I'm going to demo a few other lip products that I picked up in the Sephora sale also. So be right back. All right, so I am back from running errands. It's been about, let's see, 11, 12, 1, 2, 4 hours at this point. So you can definitely see makeup is still going strong. Eyeshadow is still, I think, going strong. No creasing, no weirdness or anything. The color's still really pretty. I did apply a little bit more of this lip oil when I was out because we ate some lunch and I needed to reapply afterwards. Definitely not a long-lasting lip product, but I did want to show you guys a couple of other lip products that I picked up at the Sephora sale. So one of the lip products I got was from Jouer. This was one of their sort of lip balm products. What do they call these? They call them the Essential Lip Enhancer Shine Balm. I apologize if the lighting keeps going in and out. I have my blinds closed, but the sun is going in and out, so I feel like it's making me look really glowy and really like warm toned, and then it goes behind a cloud, and then the white balance can better like fix itself. Let me try something. It is what it is. I picked up the shade Amaryllis, which is described as a tinted warm brown nude. It is a little bit sheer, but it is buildable, so that is it there. So let me show you this on my lips. So just a shiny tinted balm, nothing like crazy, but it does feel, you feel that lip oil in there, and it feels incredibly comfortable on the lips, and it really does a good job of moisturizing. I think I've worn this about, I don't know, 3 or 4 times at this point, but I can see myself wanting to leave this in my purse or keep it out somewhere where I can reach for it a lot in the wintertime, maybe even by my desk, because although it has a hint of a tint to it, it's not so tinted that if I didn't have a lot of makeup on that I couldn't wear this one on its own. That is the Jouer Lip Enhancer in the shade Amaryllis. So another thing I picked up was from Hourglass. This is one of their newer lip glosses. So this is their Unreal High Shine Volumizing Lip Gloss. I got the shade Enchant, which is like a soft pink. And this is not a color that I would historically gravitate towards, but I saw, gosh, I feel like it was Kelly Gooch, but now I'm doubting myself. Somebody I saw wearing this online, and I just thought that this pinky tone ended up being so fresh and flattering, and I didn't have anything else like this in my collection. So I've stared at this in store for a while, and then I ended up just pulling the trigger to both try this formula as well as try the color. This does have a peppermint scent to it. In fact, I actually don't think it's peppermint. It reminds me more of a spearmint gum than a true like peppermint or like candy cane sort of smell. I might zoom you in here. When I first apply it, I feel like it's such a milky color that it almost looks a little weird, and then as I work it into my lips, I end up liking the color a lot more. So let me see if I can demo that on camera here. So as you can see, it looks a little milky, but as I keep kind of adding this on, what I've found is that I kind of need my finger here just to kind of work it in. And I don't feel like it's the formula, I feel like it's the shade. I feel like in order to get a cream color that has a little bit of pigment, you end up with a little bit of a white milky base that can be a little touchy, I guess is what I would say. But this really blanks out my lips with a really fun sort of pink look. And I will say that I've got a very orange-y eye on today and even sort of a corally blush. This looks so pretty with the more cool toned looks that I've worn it with. It does have a hint of a tingle, but it's like, it's very, very mild. Like this is not going to be a plumping gloss. Like it's less tingly than like a buxom gloss. It's definitely a gel-like texture. It's not super sticky. This is one where I feel like I will actually really like to play with different lip liners with it and put it over top of different things, as well as wear it on its own. Because I'm not gonna lie, I think there's kind of this like winter snow bunny vibe that this lip look gives that I don't really have in my collection right now, and I kind of like it. And the last product I picked up is actually from Patrick Ta. It's one of his new Monochrome Moment products. I got one of his Silky lip creams. I got the shade She's Secure, which is a peachy pink. The packaging is really pretty. It's rose gold and then sort of a clear acrylic at the bottom, and he's got his little Patrick logo here at the top. I swatched a number of the colors. They definitely were going, some of them were going to be too orangey on me for my cool undertones, but I thought this was a really pretty peachy nude that would be very wearable for me. This formula is definitely more of a liquefied lipstick than a matte liquid lipstick. So this is gonna have a little bit of creaminess to it that never really goes away. It's not going to be transfer proof, and it's not going to completely set down to be matte either, but it's got so much pigment in it, and it does set in its own way, so I don't find that it like moves around all over the place. So let me apply this. I find it really easy to kind of swipe on too. And because they've got this sort of spade-shaped doe foot, it's easy to kind of draw your lip line and then fill in with the backside. So I was able to do my whole lip without dipping in again. So there's definitely a good amount of product that comes out on the doe foot, and then there's also it goes a long way on your lips as well. So one thing I did notice from the one time that I've worn this so far, I will admit I've been reaching for the Kosas and the Jouer. Where the heck did it go? So I've been reaching for these two a lot, and I finally like had to put them in a different drawer because I was reaching for these the most. And so one thing I noticed when I wore this the first time is I hadn't exfoliated my lips. They were a little bit dry, and after about 3 or 4 hours, I ended up with a little bit of a white ring around the inside of your mouth, which is often indicative of the lips not being exfoliated, and so lipstick just not playing well with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear this for the rest of the afternoon and see how it wears, and then I will probably report back to you guys on what I bought in November, where you'll see me talk about these products again. But then I can also report back to you guys a little bit more on how this Patrick Ta lip cream is wearing for me. I'm guessing this one is gonna pull a little bit more pinky if you have a more yellow undertone. On me with my cool undertones, I'm definitely pulling out more of the peach in this look. It's definitely looking a little bit more warm. Yeah, so those are the 4 lip products that I picked up at the sale. Lots of things that are very comfy in the Kosas and the Jouer, and then the Hourglass lip gloss and the Patrick Ta lip cream. My other 3 products were the Kosas, which is on my eyes, and then the Kaja sort of bouncy cushion blush, and then this little milk makeup bronzing stick. So for all these products, I'll report out more to you guys in the beginning of December. But I hope this was interesting and you guys enjoyed sort of this very easy, minimalistic makeup look today, as well as kind of getting my recap of what I bought during the Sephora sale. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Look forward to talking to you. Bye.